What's up? I am live. Whew. Just did what I do 7 rounds. Um, that's light. I like to do at least 7 every day. You a lot of times more, but 7 is minimal to get the blood flowing. So I want to talk a little Shakur and Frank Martin. I'm curious what you guys have to say about it. I am um, I'm kind of happy that that fight was called off because I didn't want to say that to begin with. Um, like I don't know, that was not an appealing fight to me whatsoever. You guys agree? Did you guys want to see Frank Martin and Shakur? Because I did not. Uh, the rumor is, ooh, I'm still cooling off from my workout on the bags. The rumor is that Tank is going to fight Shakur, and that's why he pulled out. Um, have you guys heard that? Is that accurate rumor that Tank's going to fight Shakur? I hope because. Oh wait, is it Tank fighting Shakur? No, the rumor is Frank Martin's going to fight Shakur, or Frank Martin's going to fight Tank. Fucking confusing. There is a rumor Frank Martin's fighting Tank or Frank Martin's fighting Shakur. That's why he pulled out. What's up, Angel? I don't know which one the rumor is, but that's the rumor. I think the best fight to make in boxing in the lightweight division slash junior welter is Shakur versus Tank. Um, could be either. John says. All right. Well, who knows? I think the best fight to make is Shakur versus Tank. That's the most. That's the highest skill fight. However, the most exciting fight, possibly in all of boxing, in my opinion, visually exciting. Sub champion, visually exciting. The most visually exciting fight to watch. One of the most would be Tank versus Tiafimo. Whew. I mean, they both got speed, they both got power, they both got boxing ability, they both got IQ, they both got footwork, they both got stamina, and they're both roughly the same height. So you're going to see engagement. You're not going to see somebody keeping somebody else on the edge of their jab or keeping distance. You're going to see engagement. Tank is going to knock him out. Who? Angel talking about Tank's son would knock out Tio? Is that what you meant? Those who would engage because height is a big thing. And that's where I think Tank is going to end up severely limiting himself. Or not himself. It's not his fault. But as he goes up in weight, his height will eventually play a factor. Angel, I disagree with you. I don't know if I shouldn't say I disagree with you. I actually don't know. If the Tiafimo that fought Josh Taylor shows up against Tank, I think he could beat Tank. That'd be 50-50 for me. But if I'm just betting, right, based on all the information and data collected, you're right. I would have to go with Tank beating him, just because Tank's never lost. Tiafimo has. Um, but Tiafimo is just a solid boxer. So I mean, power, speed, that would be electric. Those two. Um, I'm glad that Shakur is is not fighting Frank Martin. Those of you who just came in, I do not want to see that fight at all. I don't understand. You know, Shakur is at the point in his career where we want to see him uh, start stepping through the door of greatness. So Bruce, uh, we want to see him stepping through the door of greatness, Shakur. So Frank Martin, no disrespect to Frank, but he's still wet behind the ears in terms of his career. You know, he's relatively new. So when you have 5 dudes or 4 that Shakur could fight, Lomachenko, Devin Haney, Teofimo Lopez, Tank Davis, 4. Those are the only 4 that should be fighting each other. That's it. You could throw in Regis too, I suppose. I know he's 140, but it's all right there. Um, it's all kind of the same thing. But I don't know if any of those fights are going to be made. And this is a conversation I've been having with a lot of people lately. Like, are we in this era now? Are we in the era of I call it the A side B side bullshit, A side B side era, where A side B side negotiations and ego boosting and all that ruins mega fights and undisputed fights? Is that what's happening? What happened to the Ghost? The Ghost is what they call Frank Martin, right? I didn't even know that. The last Ghost I knew of was either Kelly Pavlik or Robert Guerrero. Um, Shakur should go to 140 where they want to fight him. So, champion, this is my opinion on that. And I want you guys to really absorb this opinion of mine. When you're dealing with one weight class between 135 and 140, or 130 and 135, anybody between 130 and 140, all three weight classes, they could all fight each other. It would be completely in scope for them to fight each other. It's totally possible. Either of them losing or gaining 5 pounds, either way, would not make a difference. Nobody would be weight trained. That's all fair game, and it happens throughout history. So they could all fight each other now, is why I'm even saying that. Frank the Ghost Martin. That's not a very original name, Franco. But so they could all fight each other right now. Some guys okay, so the guys who can't make that weight, like let's say somebody is at 135 and they just can't make it, they go to 140. Well, then if the other guy who's at 135 goes up 5 pounds, he can't use that as an excuse. Like, well, he's bigger than me. Is right there. Look at my experience sparring and boxing. I didn't feel anything over 20 pounds. Now, granted, I fought at super middle, right, 168. So it's relative to weight. So if you're a 100 pounder and somebody's 20 pounds heavier, that's a little bit different. But generally speaking, within 15 pounds of your weight in any weight class, you don't feel it when you get in there with somebody. There's no difference. So saying that 7 pounds, Spence and Crawford, they're going for 147 to 154, 7 pounds doesn't mean shit. It's not going to make a difference either way. It might make a difference for the guy who can't make the weight, but if they just go up one more weight class, the guy who can make the weight is not going to be like overwhelmed now by this bigger guy. Out of the four, Teo, Shakur, Tank, Haney is the weakest link in my opinion. I agree with you, Oliver, 1,000,000,000%. I agree with you. But, Haney only fought, he fought what's his face, Linares, right? And then he also fought Loma, who is a Hall of Famer. So maybe as a whole, maybe the Hall of Fame, it's just hard to beat a Hall of Famer. I don't want to write off Haney yet, but as my problem with Haney and Shakur is they're a little boring. And I hate saying that because I'm not trying to disrespect them, but the lack of punching power takes out that excitement and that jolt of a knockout or a knockdown or somebody getting hurt at any time. It totally removes that. So now you're just looking at boxing at a distance, in and out movement, which is aesthetically amazing. And if you're a sport of the sweet, if you study the sport and if you appreciate the sport, then that's great. But to me, it's a little boring. Knockouts sell. That's right. Knockouts completely sell. But knockouts, but also aggression sells. Even guys who aren't getting knocked out. Like look at Arturo Gatti, Mickey Ward. Those guys weren't the biggest punchers, but they were so aggressive and kept coming forward. So that sells too. Shakur and Haney don't have either of that. They don't have knockout power and they don't aggressively come forward. They're probably going to end up with their brain cells, so they win that way. But I would love to see Shakur fight Loma. Loma seems not to want to fight. Loma I think Loma's naturally 130. So here's where it matters a little. Loma could probably go up to 135. He's probably naturally 130. So now when Loma goes up to 140 and he's fighting guys who walk around at 150 or 160, and Loma probably walks around at 145, there's that 15-pound difference. Loma walks around at 145. These guys probably walk around at 160. Then you start feeling a difference. So I think Loma's just small, right? I think Loma could have probably campaigned at featherweight. You know what I mean? He probably should have. He probably would have never lost. Do I give Kambosos a chance against Loma? Interesting. Yes, he has a chance. It's hard to tell with Loma because Loma could be on the tail end of his career. You know what I mean? In MMA, Alex, I don't watch MMA. I can't watch. I don't like it, unfortunately. Um, so I don't know anything about it. I know that I wish boxing had one organization like MMA does. That'd be dope. But other than that, it's not really my thing. What happened when he fought Rigo? Rigondeaux? Who fought Rigondeaux? I forgot. Who are you talking about, Angel? Was it Loma that fought Rigondeaux? I don't know. But I don't know if we're going to see these guys fight each other because we're in this A side, B side era bullshit. And, it started right around Floyd and Manny. It started with A side, B side bullshit, which started turning into egos. So now fights are not getting made because negotiations are falling through because one fighter thinks that they deserve more and they feel like if they concede anything in negotiations, then that's their ego saying, no, well, this guy's better than me, so sure, he can have this. Well, fuck that. He better meet my demands or I don't need him. And then you got promoters in their ear and other people, yeah, you don't need that. You don't need that. Go fight so-and-so who you – and that has rolled into a lot of different things now. We're seeing a lot of A-side, B-side bullshit ruining fights. That ruined that didn't give us Crawford and Spence until 3, 4, 5 years later. That didn't give us Crawford Pacquiao for 5 years. That didn't give us Fury versus Usyk. Although it is seeming as Fury just doesn't want to fight Usyk unless it is a ridiculously lopsided contract because Usyk's small and he knows it's a risk. And Fury said that himself. And although that's fucked up and it's robbing himself of legacy and Undisputed and robbing us fans of seeing Undisputed, I respect him for just admitting it. No, too big of a risk. I'm not doing it unless I got a lot of money. Yeah. What's up, Teach? That's Duck talking side of the street. Duck. Yeah, I mean, the thing with the duck talk, with that duck word, to me, I don't like that word because being a fighter, right? I grew up in this shit. We're not scared of anybody. It's not about, so you could say duck, but I guess for me is I think that the average person thinks that duck means he's scared. Almost no fighters are scared of getting fucked up, or losing, but what happens is they start having people in their ear and they start being told they need to make better business decisions. So it's not like a manhood type thing where it's like, no, I'm scared. It's more like, well, why should I fight this guy when, and then starts the A side, B side shit. When you've done this, and he's only done this, and you sell this much, and he only sells this much, and fuck that. Don't. And then that's what starts the ducking, so to speak. But it's never fear. So that's one thing I don't like when people say, oh, so and so scared. Yeah, that is the excuse. And it's, I don't know what happened back in the days where it's like, if I was Shakur, for example, I would have been like, you know what? I'm taking 25%. You know why? Because after I win, I'm going to hold all the cards. And then it's one fight where I'm going to take a bit of a short. It's like getting my foot in the door and then I'm there. And in the old days, they would do that. But the problem now is Shakur probably has 1,000 promoters and advisors and managers in his ear being like, what are you, crazy? You have a family and you could die in the ring and blah, blah, blah. And you're worth more than that. And while they have a point, it's kind of a balance. Like, okay, do you just take that risk once to prove what you know that you're great? Or do you hold steady and maybe have more fights, make more money, be a little safer, but not achieve the legacy that you're looking for? Regis is getting 25%. I don't know. But I heard somebody say about the Shakur and Haney thing, like, well, 25% of nothing is still nothing. Right? It's an investment. If Shakur takes 25%, or if any of these guys, if Usyk, any of these guys who are not the bigger attractions or don't hold the belts, whatever it is, it's an investment. You invest into your future because once that investment goes in, it's going to pay off. It's going to multiply. It's going to double, triple, quadruple fold. That's how I look at it. It's like an investment. And the old school fighters, Hagler, Hearns, all these guys, they would make that investment. But the guys now don't. And it's the A-side, B-side bullshit that I kind of credit Floyd for starting. you guys might have other examples of other fighters who've done that A side B side shit before Floyd, but to me, Floyd was the first one that I really remember it popping out. You might not make it out. I don't know what that means. Oh, of the ring? Yeah, I mean, yeah, shit. You know how many fighters that I've talked to now that have brain damage? A lot, and it's everything from obvious stuttering to a weird walk to just a memory loss. It's not always obvious. And you know how many of them are broke? Like world champions I know personally who are broke. I'd say 50% of the world champions I know don't have a lot of money, either broke or don't have or not living comfortably. When I mean comfortably, I don't mean 5 cars, even one nice car. I mean like check to check, month to month, have other jobs to this day. I'm saying take what you have to take. Uh, Forgive for Vergs. I don't know how to pronounce that. My bad. Yeah, take what you have to take. What up, Trick? Me too. I've talked a lot, and they're broke. Yeah, Trick knows. What's up to Trick Nolte, everybody? Yeah, exactly. There a lot of them are broke, and a lot of them have permanent effects of brain damage from the ring, and really, no matter how good you are, over a span of 20 plus years, getting hit in the head, even if it's sparsely, it's gonna leave a long lasting effect. I'm lucky because I would always take breaks off. Now, look, there's also some guys like Foreman and Mike Tyson who don't. It doesn't hit everybody. But I would take a lot of time off. Like I would always take 4 months off, 3 months off, 6 months off, not boxing throughout my whole life. So I never and I wouldn't spar every day. And if I ever sparred and I got touched a little too much, I wouldn't come in the next day. I'd wait till my fucking headache goes away. Like I'm gonna come in with my fucking brain hurting and my headache hurting and my scalp throbbing to get hit the very next. No, I'm waiting for it to go down. But other guys just come in very next day, come in, and it piles up. I talked to so many former boxers who are broke, living on social Section 8. The public wouldn't believe it. Yep, Bruce, that's right. That's absolutely right. So that side of boxing, needs to be considered. What up, Jugs? Salute. That's a funny name. I watched the interview with Coach Malachi. In your opinion, what's better, undisputed or unbeaten? To me, it's not about what belts you have. It's not about how many people you've beat. It's about who you fought. So even if you have fights where you didn't win, it's about who you fought. So to me, undisputed or unbeaten, either of it doesn't matter. To me, it's who you fought, and how you looked. How you looked second, who you fought first. So I can't really answer that question. My bad, Jugs. James Toney, great boxer. Yeah, James is my boy. Like those of you might have seen me interview him. And yeah, he doesn't speak very well. If anyone knows, you do. Okay, yeah. So I don't know if we're going to see the fight, and I don't know how much this A side B side thing is going to roll over into future fights. You know what I mean? Chief Wildfire. That's a funny name. Shakur would have took the 25, like he said. I don't think he would have. I think he said in a Twitter. Correct me if I'm wrong. You guys, I don't really follow. I don't get involved much in the gossip and all this shit. But I think Shakur said, I saw him say, like, oh, that's a bullshit offer. Come on, I'm not going to take that. So I don't think he said he was going to take it, but that could have changed. And I don't blame him. But at the same time, I would have done it. I was talking to somebody about this recently, and it's like, you don't. Then the person was like, nah, you don't do that. You don't shortchange yourself. I'm like, just one investment. That's all you need to do. Oh, he said he should have called him. Yeah, he should have, but it might have not been a bluff. That's the thing, Chief. I don't think it was a bluff. He should have just took in the fight. But if Haney really, Haney might have pulled out if he really didn't want the fight to begin with. Because for Haney, that's not a good business investment for Haney. You're fighting somebody with no belts, who is dangerous as fuck, who is hard to hit. You know, that's not a good business investment for Haney. So I don't blame him for not taking it. But again, I do blame him because it's robbing us and himself of legacy. I'm trying, I look at it both ways. While weight trained, who would be weight trained? Shakur is smaller than Haney, right? Haney looks like tall as shit. When he was in front of Loma, that was a pretty significant size difference. Haney not making more money than he could if he fought Shakur. The power pack fight and hard to sell. Yep. Yeah, no power and hard to sell. Yeah. You know, there's very few fighters right now who can drive and maintain and really hold a pay-per-view event, right? Really just like anchor a pay-per-view event. There's very few. And that's always been the case. People don't realize that. Every era, you only have, I don't know, 4 or 5 fighters who really draw, who are stars. Every era. And really, you only have 1 or 2 per era. One mega guy. Right now, it's what? Canelo? Canelo? Who else? We had Mike Tyson, Floyd, Oscar. Who am I missing? Tank now. But see, Tank isn't even at the level of Oscar and Floyd and Canelo. He's not there yet. Tank is almost there. Tank's above everybody else. Sugar Ray, yeah. Sugar Ray was one of the first. Absolutely. Ryan Garcia and Jake Paul, yeah. No, it's not a limb. Ryan Garcia and Jake Paul can sell out. Jake Paul probably more than anybody. Well, not more than Canelo, but he can sell. But again, he's not where he's at because of his fighting. He's where he's at because a mix of mostly his fame, his internet fame before the fighting, and then now his fighting is adding to it. Ali, absolutely, Muhammad Ali. Jack Dempsey fought. Who the fuck did he fight? First $1 million gate in 1920 something. Think about that. $1 million in 1920. Could somebody pull up an inflation calculator? That is insane. And this is before the internet. This is when it wasn't easy to travel. There was 100,000 people. This guy, Tex Rickard, who was Jack Dempsey's promoter, had a outdoor stadium built with wood. They got the wood. They fucking had carpenters. They built it. At the end of the fight, people were saying that the sap from the wood was stained in their pants, was like stuck to their ass because it wasn't like they didn't poly it and finish the wood and make it pretty. They just fucking cut it and quick. They built the stadium. 100,000 people. $1 million gate in 1920. That shows you where boxing was. Now look where it's at. When you compare the two, it's insane what it's come to, unfortunately. Did Jack Dempsey die broke? He did not, I don't think. There's a picture, if you guys see my grandfather and Jack Dempsey, which is pretty dope. You met him. Greenwood benches, yep, and they were leaking sap all over people's asses. Pause. Yeah, that sounded horrible. So, but we're not in that anymore. We're nowhere near that plateau of boxing now. So yeah, I know, Shamar, I know. We're nowhere near that plateau, and now so few fighters can fill a stadium by themselves or an arena. Who can do it? Anthony Joshua, by the way, in England is like fucking Michael Jackson was, or like Madonna is in to us. That's how Anthony Joshua is in England. He's huge. Tyson Fury, huge. But so few people could do that. So now we're dealing with not getting a lot of fights because we got all these fighters on that A side, B side shit. Especially in the division where there's so much talent, or the two divisions where there's so much talent. So now I'm not getting it. I mean, who do you guys think? Who would you want to see with the 135, 140 pounders? Who do you guys think would be the best matchups? Talk to me. Dudes out here fucked up. Y'all talking about he should have took 25%. I mean, you can look at it both ways. Doesn't really matter though because they're not fighting. Nobody's fighting now. Shakur's not fighting. Even Frank Martin, who before you guys came in here, I was saying I don't even want to see that fight. Shakur shouldn't. No disrespect to Frank, but I want to see Shakur fight one of those other four powerhouses, not Frank Martin or Keyshawn or one of those dudes. Those dudes are still up and coming. Shakur's a good 5, 6, 7 years ahead of them in his career. Devin has a fight. Who's Devin fighting? Because dudes are scared to be on. Dudes are just scared to lose. Yeah, they are. That's another thing Floyd did. That's not his fault. But oh yeah, he's fighting Regis. That's right. They're right. But you know what? Until I have a date and a venue, don't be so sure. I know they said it's signed, but if venues negotiations and stuff fall through, it doesn't matter how signed it is. You have to hold it somewhere. So that's why I didn't even absorb that into my mental Rolodex because they haven't announced a date. Frank versus Edwin. They should fight. Edwin who? Tio was awarded the super champion by WBO, so do you think he may demand a fight with Crawford? Rules state he can. Teofimo against Terrence Crawford? Is that what you mean? That's a pretty big weight difference. Chase Center, it's locked in? Okay. Well, if it's locked in, then good. But Regis, again, no disrespect to Regis. Regis is a great fighter, but he's not one of those four. But that's close. That's as close as you can get to one of those. The Mount Rushmores. Those are the Mount Rushmores. He's he's right. He's coming up. 7 pounds. Oh, Tio's but 7 pounds. But Tio is just moved to 140. Crawford's not saying at 47. He's saying he's 54 basically. Now, yeah, they could make it, but I don't think Terrence would drain himself to go down to fight Tio because Terrence made it real clear that he's only looking for legacy and big money fights. And unfortunately, Tio is one of those quote unquote loses because you're fighting a way smaller guy and a guy that's not, Canelo level fame and payday. He won't do that. He definitely won't do that. Shakur fumbled the biggest opportunity of his career. I don't know about that. He fumbled, but there's going to be more opportunities. Yeah, he's not fighting Tio. I agree. He wouldn't do that. The question is this. Why don't you guys answer this one? Let's say Charlo and Canelo fight a close fight, and there's a rematch, right? So now that wipes Charlo and Canelo off of Bud Crawford's menu for a year. Who does Crawford fight? Especially since he's saying he just wants big money legacy fights. Who's he fight? Who could Crawford fight? I was racking my brain. I have no idea who he could fight to fulfill that criteria that he's setting for himself. Charlo probably isn't winning the fight, Robin. I agree with you, but you never know. He has the tools. It's possible. It's not likely, but it's possible. Boots, he doesn't want to fight Boots. He said he doesn't want to fight. He literally said, I'm not fighting Boots. So you can wipe that one off too. And for the record, I want to see Crawford fight Boots. I think Boots is the only fighter who can really give Crawford a run for his money right now. Not the only. Charlo and Canelo could too, but the only fighter in his weight. But that's not going to happen because he said it's not going to happen. So I don't even want to. Boots in NY. Oh, Boots is here? How you know? Tim Tszyu. Well, yeah, it might have to be Tim Tszyu because Tim Tszyu's the one with the belts now, right? Tim Tszyu has, or he's going to get the WBO belt the second Charlo steps in the ring with Canelo, is what they're saying. But that's not a big money fight. It's slightly legacy, I guess, because it'll be for a major championship at another weight class. So is that it? And that's assuming that he gets the belt. Crawford versus Boots will make money, but Boots doesn't want to do it. So we don't really, we shouldn't even talk about it. Did I watch that Karen fight? What fight is that? Was it there was some shit on last night or that I watched briefly, but I don't know what Karen fight you're talking about. Yeah, so Boots he's not on the menu for Crawford. So who's left? So my point is, we might see Crawford just inactive for quite a while. Oh, Boots versus Karen. Is that the last fight where he did that slow motion shit where he's like, boop? Yeah, I saw that. Come on. Of course, I watch Boots every time I can. I'm trying to interview Boots, but he's apparently a homebody. Hard to get him. Oh, the one before that, I the one where he hit the dude kind of in the back of the head and he fell. It was and then he called out. Spence was in the crowd. That one. You don't see Crawford hit sitting like that. I don't know what that means. Well, he will retire if that happens. Yeah, he might retire. What's he gonna do? Who's Crawford gonna fight if Charlo and Canelo are close and have a rematch? At 36, he can't be waiting a year for them to have and then if the second fight is close, they could have a trilogy. Oh, I don't remember the Karen fight. I probably saw it, but it doesn't stick out in my head then. But yeah, I mean, who's he gonna fight? So he's not gonna fight anybody. And to move up a little bit, unless you guys have some comments with this, we can go back to it. But the heavyweight division too, I really like Tyson Fury, but I don't like that he's fighting Ngannou. I don't really want to see that. I want Tyson Fury to also solidify his legacy. I think Tyson Fury has all the tools to be one of the greatest heavyweights of all time, just because of his God-given physical advantages, his size, his athleticism, how all that. But there's no way I could put him in an all-time great until he beats a few more people. For me, resume is a big thing, and just beating an old Klitschko and Wilder makes you one of the better fighters in your era, but not of all time, not even close. I think he has the ability to, but we got to see it. But who's he going to fight? I hope that those Saudis get that card together. That shit would be dope. Wilder versus Joshua, which, by the way, I think Wilder harpoons Joshua into the fucking ground with that right hand. And Fury versus Usyk. I mean, that would be insane. That would be too much excitement for one night. What's up, Jafrani? I think I pronounced that right. That I hope that card happens. I really do. That would be dope. That's what we need, because we've been a little spoiled. We got some good fights the past year. Crawford will fight, and we'll all be surprised. So you thinking that he's going to fight somebody that he's kind of saying now he won't, like a Boots or something? Karen throwing punches. So why are you guys bringing up this Karen fight? Is that because Boots didn't look good against Karen? I don't really remember that fight. Yeah, you think Crawford might? Rafael? Yeah, Rafael. He might, because what else is he going to do? Is he just going to sit there and age out? You know what I mean? He said himself he doesn't want to have too many more fights. So I don't know. We're going to wait and see. And then we got the lightweights we talked about, and then we got the super middleweights. Don't even get me started with that one, because David Benavidez was one of my favorite fighters. He should be fighting Canelo, but he's not. And that's robbing us. That's another fight robbing us. Now, that's not A-side, B-side bullshit. That's just Canelo trying to do. What's up, David? That's just Canelo trying to do what we talked about before. Canelo is coming to the end of a long career, kind of like Tyson Fury. And they're both saying, look, we fought everybody. We've first got to put our life on the lines. We've taken rough fights. How about we take a couple fights that are quote unquote easier, less risky, but generate a lot of money? That's what Fury's done with his last 3 fights now. And that's what Canelo's doing with Charlo now. I think it might end up being a fucked up move for him if Charlo beats him. But on paper, it's an easier fight for Canelo on paper. But we'll see. When Spence loses the rematch, he's done. Well, that's assuming he does lose the rematch, and I would have to heavily lean towards him losing that rematch, probably in the same fashion as which he lost the first time. I agree. I don't know if he's done. If he gets like on a flatlined, it might be. It all depends. But fighters have come back from so much more. Don't forget, Spence has never been ravaged. Pause. That didn't sound good either. He's never been beat up that bad before. So even two ass whoopings doesn't have to end a career. There's a lot of guys who received multiple ass whoopings and came back and been fine. Wilder KOs AJ. Yep. Fury beats Usyk. That's right. Cool, JC. You're a smart man. Smart man. But then you got Inoue. I'd like to see Inoue come up and fight Loma or Tank. That'd be dope. Bud going to set a trap for his ass. For who? For Spence? I mean, I don't really want to see the Spence rematch either, but I mean, I'll watch it. Don't get me wrong. Like, I'll definitely watch it, but I don't really want to see it because I can't think of a mega fight so one-sided in my life. Let me hear if any of you guys could right now shoot me off any mega fights in history. Now, when I say mega fight, I mean mega fight like huge in boxing. This wasn't a fight on the level of De La Hoya Mayweather. It wasn't a mega fight to the world. It was a mega fight to us boxing fans. So any mega fight that was so closely matched up that was at one-sided, name one, because there is none. Close I could think of was Tyson versus Lennox Lewis, but this was even more one-sided than that. De La Hoya versus Pacquiao, that was really one-sided, but this was worse than that. Not by much though, because Pacquiao beat the shit out of Oscar. Bozy turned what anyway is too small at 126, but he's going. We don't know. John, he might not be too small. I mean, what did Inoue start at? Like 110? 115? What did he start at? And how tall is he? See, he's old now. Anyway, he's like 30, right? So if he was younger, I'd say his body has room to fill out naturally, but he's already 30. Mayweather versus Canelo, that wasn't nearly as one-sided as that was one-sided, but that was not numerous knockdowns or dude's face being all people feeling bad for how bad of an ass whooping he's taken. That was nowhere close to that. Nowhere close to that. I can't think of one this bad. I mean, do you guys remember? Think back with the Crawford fight, how one-sided, how much damage spent, and how you had the feeling. Okay, you had the feeling after the third round. Wilder Fury actually was pretty close. Was close. That wasn't the Wilder Fury rematch. Actually, that might be one. You had the feeling with Spence Crawford, like you almost felt bad for him, like he's taken punishment. And the fight, the Mayweather Canelo fight, wasn't like that. It was a one-sided like boxing lesson, but it wasn't a beatdown. 108. He started at 108. Huh. So I mean, 20 pounds, 118. No, I think what generally the rule of thumb is when you're that little, 20 pounds going up 20, even 25 pounds is not bad. So he can go up to like 138. He can go up to 140 even anyway, possibly. But I think 126 is not that crazy. But he just fought now, right? What they fight at? They fought at 126. Was it featherweight just now that they fought? Or did they fight at 30? Or they fight at 20? I don't know what they just fought at, but whatever they just fought at, that makes a difference because then it's 122. Okay. So if he's 122 and he's 30, you're right. He could go to 126 for sure. But past that, he could probably go up to 130. I think another 8 pounds wouldn't be that big of a deal. Considering how much power he has at 122, 8 pounds wouldn't make a big difference. I don't think there would be a decrease in power. I don't think guys would be able to take his power way better with only 8 pounds up. He just came from 118? Oh, okay. Well, we'll see. But I do know that at 122, his power was silly with it. So I think he'll be fine at 126. I think he'd be good at 130. I think he could fight Loma at 130. He could even fight Tank at 130, but I don't think Tank would go down to 130. So probably not going to happen. Frank Martin lacks integrity. You do not agree in terms and then back out. Well, Bobby, it's a business, and that's not always true. We don't know. That's why I don't like getting into these things, like into those kind of the morals of shit, because we don't know what's going on. We don't know what's going on in his life. We don't know what's going on in contract negotiations. We don't know. We don't know if he was offered a way bigger fight with Tank or with somebody else. We don't know. So I don't really get involved in that stuff. Roy Jones versus James Toney. I was at that fight, right? Literally sitting in the crowd, and that was not as one sided. It was one sided in terms, again, a boxing lesson, but James Toney didn't. He went down once, but it wasn't even a real knock. Like, he got bumped. He at no point was James Toney hurt, and at no point did James Toney's face look all. I mean, it wasn't even close to the Spence Crawford one, but it was one sided. Again, guys, when I say one sided, I mean one sided to where it's a vicious beatdown. That's what I mean. I think Fury Wilder is close to it. I think Pacquiao and De La Hoya is close to it. Tyson versus Lewis was close to it. Fight between Martin and Tank could have been made anytime. They're both under PBC. Mayweather Gotti was not a mega fight, though, and because nobody expected Gotti to win. But that was a vicious beatdown. I agree. I mean, that was Roy Jones versus Vinny Pazienza. Roy Jones versus Vinny Pazienza was and Gotti versus Mayweather, to me, are very similar. You guys ever want to watch an unbelievably brutal yet beautiful execution of boxing? Watch those two fights. Roy and Floyd beat the shit out of those guys and did it like with fucking sweet combinations and movement. And I mean, that's a fight where Roy didn't get one punch landed on him. Those are close, but those weren't mega fights because they weren't evenly matched. Remember, the criteria was a fight that the whole boxing world wants to see, and that's relatively evenly matched. And those weren't one of those. Get out of here. But you guys come up with good ones. Yeah, the KO against Vinny was silly. Like, just clown suit, big red nose, just silly. Fury Wilder 2. Yep, it was. I just said that. Fury Wilder 3 as well. Although Fury Wilder 3 maybe just a little less because Fury went down those two times. But other than that, I mean, other than him getting down those two times, it was vicious of a beatdown the whole fight. Mayweather versus Corrales. Ooh, that's a good one. That's a good one. Yeah, I like that one, Richard. I like that one. Mayweather versus Corrales. That was a pretty vicious one-sided beatdown. Corrales, yeah. You know what? That is one. I'm gonna put that in. Good shit. Good shit. Mayweather too. That, by the way, is similar to Roy versus. It wasn't as, but close. Roy versus Vinny and Mayweather. What's his face? Gotti. Mayweather Corrales was also similar. There's one common denominator in those. Pretty boy Floyd. Not Money Mayweather. That was Pretty Boy Floyd, who was. I mean, people say Floyd couldn't punch. Watch Pretty Boy fight. Pretty Boy could punch. Tony was 30 pounds more overweight, and he had to lose weight in a short period of time. Tony didn't have the best training regimen. Yeah, I mean, I know. Tony never did anything, but he just sparred. That's it. Pacquiao versus Margarito, I don't think was a mega fight. And I think, if I'm not mistaken, hold on a second. I think, if I'm not mistaken, people were expecting Margarito to win that fight. I was, as a matter of fact. That was a fight I remember watching. I was like, Margarito is wiling out. You do not. I mean, excuse me, Manny Pacquiao is wiling out. You trying to fight this big motherfucker? Are you nuts? Like, and I thought he was going to lose, but he didn't. He whooped his ass. Yeah, I mean, I had Corrales winning too. No, actually, I didn't. I wasn't sure. I wasn't sure at the time. I remember being like, we'll see. I thought Corrales is big, and I thought that would be quite a challenge for Floyd because Corrales was so big. Tank fans believe he will knock everyone out, but I am waiting for Tank to beat a top 35-pounder. Look, Jones versus Barrera 1 was a good one. Yeah, it was a good fight, but it wasn't a mega fight, and it wasn't one-sided. All those fights were close. Tank, like, yeah, I'm waiting. Look, none of these guys, the Mount Rushmore, the top four, none of these guys have fought each other. So we can argue that all of them have not fought anybody, and all of them can be exposed. I hate that word too, by the way, because nobody's exposed. These guys are fighters. They're fighting their heart out. They might not be as good as we think. That's a way to put it. But exposed almost makes it seem like there's some kind of a front put up. Like, every fighter is supposed to be confident. There's no front. That's just, they think they're the best. But none of them have fought each other. So any one of them you can argue, yeah, he hasn't fought anybody, because there's four left that need to fight, and none of them fought each other. So you're right. Tank could conceivably fight any of those and lose, and then we'd be like, well, and vice versa. But if I had to guess off what I've seen and the resumes, I think Tank and Haney have the best resumes. I think Tank's the best out of all four of those. But I do think Shakur has all the tools to possibly be one of the great fighters of our generation. But we need to see more. We need to see way more, because I've seen a lot of fighters with a lot of tools, and then when it finally came time to test and to use those tools, they couldn't use them as well as everybody thought, or the guy they fought was better than everybody thought. So you just never know until it happens. Just a couple of months ago, Ryan was in the top four. Well, Ryan should have never been in the top four. No disrespect to Ryan, but he wasn't tested at all. Ryan has unbelievable speed, but he showed a lot of vulnerabilities in his boxing style, which Derek is working on now, and hopefully will. If Ryan tightens up a lot of his mistakes, he'll be a force. Gary Russell looks like a monster. Yeah, I don't know much about Gary Russell. Those guys, they haven't fought in so long. But that's what everybody was saying. It's hard to see more when no one from PBC will fight Shakur. Yeah, I'm from Baltimore. I know what's going to happen. I'm with you, man. I'm not from Baltimore, but I think Tank's the best one. But when I say I think, it's like I think. I'm not one of those guys who's going to be like, I know for sure, because one thing I learned in being in the sport myself, you never know. Anything can happen, especially when guys are untested. Yeah, well, if nobody fights Shakur, then nobody fights Shakur. What can we do? This is what we're stuck with right now. Jones knocked out Barrera in the fourth round. Oh, Junior Jones. My bad. I thought you said, I don't know why I thought you were talking about Barrera and Morales. Yeah, Junior Jones is my boy. He lives out here. Yeah. That wasn't a mega fight, though. Because back then, don't forget, until Prince Nassim came around, those lighter weights, nobody gave a fuck. Nobody cared, unfortunately. And they didn't make any money. And even the boxing world cared a little bit, but, yeah, and it wasn't that one-sided. They were going back and forth until Jones, clipped him, if I remember correctly. Younger brother named Gary just fought a month ago. I seen Tank trading shots with a known heavyweight, blow for blow. With who? You saw this, Hoodrich. You saw this in the gym with your eyes, and if you did, who was it? Tyson versus Spinks. Yeah. Tyson versus Spinks is one. That was just so short, but yeah, I guess that's right. And I remember some people thinking Spinks would win that one. He was like 3-1 favorite to lose, but yeah, that was a good one. Tyson versus Spinks is a good one. But Tyson was one of those guys where he made everything a mega fight because of who he was. It wasn't really about his opponent even. So I'm about to get out of here in a second. You guys have anything else you want to talk about? Younger brother named Gary Russell. Is that what you're talking about? If you notice, Shakur don't talk crazy. He talked crazy to everyone though. Yeah, Shakur seems very confident, and he gives off the energy of somebody who really doesn't talk to talk, but talks because he really believes it. Now, don't forget though, I've seen plenty of guys who really believe it and then really get knocked the fuck out. So just because you believe something, you got to show it. That's what this is about, showing. Yeah, right on about Jones versus Barrera. Yeah. That fight was dope. I remember being like, yeah, Junior Jones. I was talking to Junior about that literally like a month ago. I bumped into him at this event, and we were talking about that Barrera fight. I bet you Barrera, I bet his dreams are haunted by that straight right hand. Like wakes up like, oh shit, in cold sweat. I meant he don't talk crazy to Tank, but everyone else he does. Oh, yeah. Um, I don't know. I mean, I saw Tank say something. I don't know. I don't. It doesn't really matter. Like, again, the talk doesn't matter. What matters is what we see. You know what I mean? Like that's why I really like how Charlo and Canelo are being mad, like respectful in the pre-fight stuff. They're not talking mad shit. I like it because it's about fighting. That's what this is about. We don't give a fuck about their personal lives. We shouldn't give a fuck about any of that. We should just, as boxing fans, stick to boxing, stick to watching what they do, and appreciating what they do. Martin is duck. He still said anything. I don't know. We'll find out. If he is, he is. But I have a feeling it's business, something to do with the business. Have you seen you on the heavy bag? You look good. That's why I can. That's why I can talk this with you. But other YouTubers never throw a shot, man. Appreciate you, Hood Rich. I used to fight. I mean, and I don't spar anymore. I mean, I haven't in a while. I would if somebody says something stupid, probably, but I don't. I haven't. But yeah, I work out. I hit the bag every day. Every day I do a little bit. It's good for this. It's good for this, but it's really good for this. Um, so yeah, I appreciate you though. It's I've been doing it a long time, man. Long time now, 35 years. Since I'm 40, 33 years I've been doing it. So and I'll tell you one thing, man. I don't really get tired anymore. I got crazy muscle memory. Like as you get older, it gets weird. Shakur and Tang should fight at 35. Yeah, they should. I want to see Shakur and Tang fight. But as I said earlier, for those of you who weren't here, I want to see Shakur and Teo fight. That to me is the most exciting fight. The highest level of skill, I think, would be Shakur and Tank. But Teo's record's better, really. Although Shakur looks like he's probably a better fighter, Teo's record's still better. And Teo's proves that people can have off nights, or there could be something going on with somebody. What everybody says is an excuse. It's an excuse, maybe, but when he comes back and looks amazing, then it's not an excuse anymore. It's something that really happened. Now it's on him. He shouldn't have fought. He should have called it off. Blah blah blah. That's true, but that take away all that. What I take away from it is Teo has the capabilities to beat anybody at that weight. That's what I take away from it. But next time, if you have something going on, like if Spence had something wrong with him, whatever it is, just cancel the fucking fight or postpone it. Still have no respect for Canelo. He should not be fighting Charlo. Yeah, I have respect for Canelo, but yeah, he shouldn't be fighting Charlo. I agree. But at the same time, I kind of agree that he's earned an easy fight. He just looked like shit 2 fights in a row, lost one, didn't look good against Ryder. So he's trying to get his sea legs back. So he's earned it. He's fought everybody. So one fight like this, I'm not going to criticize him. But I don't think he's going to fight Benavidez. And if he doesn't, that's a whole different story. He should. Do you think having your father in your corner helps or benefits? I mean, not my father. Um, that's a tough question. That has to do with the individual relationship between a specific fighter and his father. Some of us know our parents annoy the shit out of us, or our parents trigger certain things, and we don't. It's a negative in terms of like it's not a positive. And then some of our parents give us a positive and really charge us with a positive charge. So that all depends on the specific relationship of the specific fighter. I will say the majority of the fathers I've seen in boxing are a little fucking crazy and too hard on their kids, and it seems like it actually triggers a negative thing in their kids. The majority, or a lot of them, but not everybody. So it's very specific. Is the answer to that question? Yeah, he doesn't want to fight Benavidez. I agree. He does deserve an easy fight. Why the fuck not? All right, guys. I'm gonna bounce. It was good chopping it up. I will see you guys soon. Peace.